since, like I said, this is where I've just started watching this. I thought it was cool that there was like a Native American guy on here,
Hmm.
and then I read up on him, and he's Mexican and like Native American or something, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. So there's a lot of good diversity on this ship so far. What I've watched,
Hmm.
and that's exciting.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway. um Anyway, Janeway says that they're going to flush out this leader with some biological weapons and that the doctor's working on it. It's like, what is going on? I'm like, why are they so awful? Um, and so in sick bay, we see the doctor and he's hooked up like an android to the ship. It's like, oh, yeah, there was something really wrong. This has to be like some sort of weird dream sequence or something. It's what I'm thinking by now. And just because there's so many wrong, like, it's not even in like mirror universes and
Hmm.
alternate timelines, like he would still be a hologram. That's
Hmm.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you can't hook up a hologram like that. Although I think it's crazy that their holograms can actually hold objects and stuff.
Hmm.
But whatever. I don't know anything about hundreds of years from now.
I mean, listen, the holographic stuff to me, like you said about like he's a hologram, but he can hold objects. They explain it, of course, with some really great technobabble about how the doctor is able to change basically his density at will.
Oh.
Like he can pass through objects when he needs to. So like if somebody threw like a tricorder at him, he could make himself more hologrammy and it would
Okay.
just go right through him. But when he's treating a patient, he has to hold instruments. He's
Mm.
able to basically solidify.
Okay.
So, you know, uh, technobabble. There you go.
I don't care how many hundreds of years this is in the future. It's probably not going to happen since we're already 5 years past flying cars and hoverboards.
Hmm.
We haven't gotten that yet, and so you know that's fine. It's fine.
Well, we have gotten alternate realities, so that's nice.
Oh. Yeah, no, Biff is president. We get it. It's terrible.
Well,
Uh,
no, like they've discovered, like they've found particles somewhere that suggest that there's like a mirror universe where time runs backwards.
how do we get there?
I don't know.
I read that was debunked, or that was not debunked. That's not the right word. I read that same article about the particles from the alternate universe, and then
Hmm.
apparently a NASA scientist said no, that's not true. I don't know. I think there's some debate, but I would
Well, yeah, I don't
hope.
think it's like.
I wish I would love to go to an alternate universe. Every day I wish I was in an alternate universe.
Oh yeah.
The grass is always greener in the alternate universe.
That's true.
Hmm.
That's very. I like that. That's very funny, Brooke.
Thank you. Uh, so we see Voyager firing on the planet this biological weapon or whatever. And then we hear a voice saying, "The warship Voyager was one of the most powerful vessels of its time." And then we see a man standing by what looks like a screen initially, and then we find out, it's like a window into a simulation. It's sort of hilarious to me. But hey, that's how we have to get this to work instead of being like, oh, wait, let's put this in the holodeck kind of thing. Anyway. Uh, um, the man, he's standing at like this podium and he's talking to some people. He turns out to be the curator of this Curian History Museum. His name is Quarren, and he's telling visitors that they feel the impact of this voyage encounter 700 years later. So now we know it's very far in the future, and they had some bad times with Voyager, and he's letting everybody know about it. um, we have the intro, as Rebecca so lovely sang.
Bum 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 bum.
um, and we come back, and there's one of the guests at the museum asks about Voyager, and so Quarren tells him there were like 300 soldiers aboard, and they deduced that Voyager meddled in many other cultures. Like this was not the only one that they bothered. Some other man comes up and asks about. Oh no, this man asks specifically about Borg drones, and it's like, what? Basically, Quarren is like saying that Voyager was kind of like a Borg ship where they were to assimilate people, and sort of, I guess, enslave them to be soldiers. And at this point, we don't know that there are actual Borg on the ship until later. So he goes back to resuming his to the simulation and talking about it because people need to know the truth. um, so back in the simulation, we found out that from that ray, that there are 3,000 Kyrians dead, but that's not enough for our bloodthirsty Janeway. She says 300,000 will be enough. And the ambassador, you can tell that he's very uncomfortable, and he does not. He can't really do anything, and he doesn't know what to say. Then we have Tuvok. He says that it'll take an hour to kill 300,000, and she says, "Why do you always keep me waiting?"
I love that line.
he smirks and then apologizes. And I wrote in my notes, they apparently don't know Vulcans at all.
Oh yeah, that's when you know that this thing. I mean, if you didn't already know, but like the fact that they didn't get right that Vulcans don't smirk,
Right?
you definitely know that these are people who do not know Vulcans.
So the ambassador decides to speak up, and he tells Janeway that he thinks this genocide is excessive. That's an understatement, but yeah. So she orders him sent to the brig because he doesn't want to murder people.
How dare you not want to murder people? Throw them in jail.
Right? Which is hilarious. Okay, so she wants to kill people, but then there are more vessels that come up to them, and she wants to evade them instead of like shooting them down. Anyway, make up your mind, Janeway. So then we go to Chakotay and Kim, and they're interrogating some guy. And I wrote, it says, they look like two brutes in a gangster film where someone is caught cheating in a casino. Like, tell me where he is, and then they smacked him around, and
oh my god!
And Kim was gonna hit him with a gigantic spanner or something, and the doctor comes up and he's just like, "That'll leave a mark. How about this?" And he has this hypo spray that is gonna cause the guy a lot of pain. So it starts where it makes his eyes tingle, and then he can't see, and then it just melts his cerebral cortex. I'm like, what?
I just love Chakotay in that scene because he's just like so over the top ridiculous. Like
he's like, I don't like doing this.
Yeah, like this isn't my people's way, but like I'm going to. I can do this all day. Like
this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Oh yeah, I mean they definitely have the good cop bad cop routine down, and for sure, like, Brooke, when you go back and eventually watch seasons 1 through 3, you'll see that they did a lot of episodes focused on Chakotay's background as a Native American and how he was very religious and like really attached to his people's faith, and there were a lot of episodes where they really focused on it. So for him to,
there was the one this season where he did led Neelix through a vision quest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. There were a lot of vision quests on
that kind of thing.
Voyager. There were a lot of people discovering their spirit guides on Voyager. But it's just funny for him now to be like, my people are peaceful. We're an enlightened people. And it's like, oh geez, even this Chakotay can't shut up about his people.
Oh,
Let me
I
help you
love it.
find your spirit animal. All right, calm down, Chakotay.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Uh, um, so basically, they're just wanting to know where the Kyrian leader Tedrin is, and they're willing to go to any means necessary to find out from this guy, and even if it means going against their culture. um, so the next scene, we're still in the simulation. Chakotay is informing Janeway where they found out that Tedrin is hiding. She tells him to take Tuvok and go down there and collect him. And as they continue the assault, there's a problem. Like intruders. There's some Kyrian. I'm trying to think of a good funny thing to say. Some Kyrian. They're like Kyrian operatives, but they look like I don't know. They look like henchmen out of a movie from 1992. They're wearing like leather bomber jackets and stuff. And they come on board, and Janeway's like, "Computer, activate the Borg drones." And then you see Seven still as a Borg, and she wakes up and she gets orders from Janeway to go to engineering and take care of these guys. And she's got like three of her own like henchmen.
She does.
and, and they all go down there and take care of these you know extras from Batman Returns or something. And, uh, it's I guess it would be the first. Yeah, the first, actually just Batman, because it was like the Joker's henchmen all kind of look like that. He was Colfer and they weren't. Anyway, I digress. We find out that they killed a couple of them, and Janeway tells Seven she can have the rest, to add to her collection of people. So then on the bridge, Kim comes in and he lets Janeway know that they found Tedrin, and she's like, "Bring him to me." Then we see them in another room. I'm not sure what this room is. I don't know. Interrogation room. I don't know what it is.
I think it's the mess hall.
Okay. Because
I'm
there
pretty
wasn't
sure.
enough there wasn't enough of anything around in there for me to tell, because, they just needed a place to do this, I guess. And so Tedrin and his aide are brought into the room. She tells him to stand down and stop the attack and all this stuff. And she's like, "I'll destroy your whole world if you don't do this." And, because she's like, "I'm going to go home and you're going to be a martyr," and all this stuff. And he's like, "No, we're never going to surrender. We're never going to do this." And she ends up killing him. It's really hilarious because you see the aide and she kind of makes a face because she's waiting to be shot to die, because it's like she knows in the script that she's going to be the first to get shot, and kind of thing. She kind of makes a face, but it's fine. The ambassador is still over there, and he's watching, and he's completely horrified by the things that are happening. We go back to the museum, and he said, and Quarren says that the Kyrians lost, millions of people, and all the rest of them were put into slavery and that kind of thing. And over the 700 years, they've been fighting to get back their independence and all this stuff, and that it's all because of the actions that Janeway took that day that they just watched in the simulation. So now Quarren gets questioned by a Vascan guest. He's mad that his people are being shown like as villains, sort of, basically, even though at this point we haven't really seen them be actual villains. But then, but he doesn't want Quarren teaching this stuff to his kids. And this is the thing that is so like topical, or uh, you know, really